The Candyman can get his ass kicked in this week's chapter of One Piece. What a badass chapter right here. It looks like they're finally setting up a big battle for Luffy, and thank God it's going to possibly be against Katakuri, otherwise known as Dogtooth. This is a battle that I really want to see, especially after realizing that Dogtooth's powers are not too dissimilar from Luffy's. The fact that he's a mochi man, a man who's made out of candy, he can actually sort of stretch his limbs out just like Taffy, and he's able to utilize it in a form which is very similar to Luffy. So he can stretch his arms, build up a lot of momentum with them, but Luffy does have one distinct advantage against Katakuri, as well as Pedro and his ability to cover everything in candy. Luffy can use the Red Hawk ability, which allows him to cover his arms in fire, which melts directly through the candy. So he's definitely going to be one hell of a threat for both Katakuri and Pedro. And it's a good thing that they finally arrived, because things are not looking good for the Straw Hat Pirates. They're still running away from Big Mom. Chopper and Brook are desperately fighting against Pedro, and they seem to be getting pushed back a lot. I mean, the fact that they've been fighting against hundreds, damn near thousands of soldiers, and then have to deal with Pedro's ability to basically mummify people with his candy abilities, and the fact that Katakuri is just sort of sitting there and just watching all of this and just waiting for his moment to enter the battle really just shows you how terrifying these guys are right here. And the end of this week's chapter is probably, I think, the coolest thing about it. And man, I have never feared for Pedro's life more than right here. There is this crazy scene at the end where Luffy is fighting desperately against Katakuri, Chopper and Brook have been completely encased in candy, and the entire Thousand Sunny ship is just being enveloped by all of Pedro's candy. You have Big Mom's fleet who's out there getting ready to blast them with cannons. You have Big Mom who's still on shore getting ready to fuck shit up. And Pedro realizes that if there's anyone who's going to make a difference, it's Luffy and his friends. They're the only ones who are going to be able to help out the Kozuki clan. And that's when he decides to make the ultimate sacrifice by taking his lit cigarette, opening up his jacket, and revealing that it's filled to the brim with tons of dynamite and explosives. He then lights that thing up, and the chapter ends with a massive explosion, which might actually end up killing Pedro. And I don't know how he would survive such a massive explosion, especially one that was contained within his jacket. If he does actually manage to get out of this unscathed, I am going to have to call bullshit just a little bit. But man, what a massive sacrifice at the very end of this arc. It's a shame, really, because if he does die, it sucks because we never really got to know Pedro as much as I really wanted to. I mean, there have been some hints to his backstory and all of the things that happened when he was originally on this island before, but there's still so much more about Pedro that I actually really wanted to learn. And just, man, it's been a long time since we had like a really intense moment like this in the One Piece series, and the fact that it's placed at the end of this arc, which is super colorful and looks like a freaking game of Candyland, is a really bold decision. And man, it just really like shocked me at my core reading the end of this week's chapter. That was just all of the solid action that was going on in this week's chapter. I mean, Luffy showing up and fighting against Katakuri is still, I think, one of the coolest things ever. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of One Piece? Just a big action chapter, which is definitely something that I think we needed. Just a lot of really great visuals in this chapter, too. I love the fact that all of the soldiers who are waiting to fight against Chopper and Brook are just sort of literally lined up, just waiting for their turn to get into the battle. There's a great shot of all of them just standing there, and they all look crazy with nutty designs and all types of weapons, and it absolutely sucks. There's nothing that they can do against Pedro. Like, as soon as his candy starts to envelop your body, it's almost like concrete, and it just sort of envelops everything, and you can't actually break free from it. And according to Pedro, you only have like 3 minutes until you completely suffocate, and man, what a terrifying death when you actually do think about that. I mean, the odds truly are not stacked in Luffy and the Straw Hats' favor right now, with all of these things that are going on, especially with Big Mom just being right behind them. It's utterly terrifying, to be perfectly honest. But Luffy was awesome in this chapter. Definitely utilizing the Red Hawk abilities in the best way possible. Especially because when they finally do arrive on the scene, Perospero tries to capture them in a giant Iron Maiden, which is made out of candy. I believe he calls it the Candy Maiden. And it starts to, like, envelop everyone. It's got the spikes all in the middle, getting ready to skewer them from all sides. And Luffy smartly uses the Red freaking Hawk. That just breaks and melts right through the candy, and he even uses a Red Hawk Gatling attack against Katakuri, which manages to blast through his body, so that is one major disadvantage that he is actually going to have in that battle. But I honestly don't know if Luffy actually has the ability to take down both of those guys at once. He's going to need a lot of help, and thank God a lot of those other guys are there, such as Jinbei and everything. But man, I can't wait to see how they're still going to get out of this situation, especially considering that this explosion happened so close to the Thousand Sunny, it could potentially cause a lot of damage to the ship, and maybe even some of the other bystanders that are sort of in the area. That big sacrificial play by Pedro is definitely one of the coolest things about this chapter right here, and truly speaks to his absolute bravery and dedication to this mission. You get a sense that he's realized that his life is over, that there's not really much more for him. His lifespan has been taken away. He's been spending his entire life trying to bring peace to the Mink tribe and to the Kozuki clan, and to bring things back to the way that they used to be. And this is sort of like his final atonement for all of the things that he's done in the past, for all of the things that he's experienced, and he's sort of just leaving it in Luffy's hands at this point. That's how much faith he actually does have in Luffy, and knowing that he does have the potential to actually become Pirate King one day. And man, it just paints Pedro as just one of the most coolest, manliest characters from the entire series, which is definitely why I love this chapter so much. So there it is. I really just don't have that much more to say about this one. That, and frankly, guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of in a rush. I've been very busy lately, but I could not ignore this chapter. I definitely wanted to talk about it, and I loved this one. And we're going to get to groove on it for about 2 weeks, because unfortunately, One Piece is going to be on break next week. But it will return, and I'm sure it's going to bring with it a lot of surprises. It's something that the author loves to do, give us a really big cliffhanger ending, and then just leave us hanging for a couple of weeks. So I can't wait to hear a couple of theories about what people think is going to happen with Pedro, if he's actually going to die during the scene, if anybody else is going to be damaged, and how the Straw Hat Pirates are actually going to escape, or if they are actually going to be forced to battle. I don't know how that's going to go down. Me, I love this chapter, 5 out of 5, but I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this week's chapter of One Piece, and what do you hope is going to happen in the next epic chapter? Do you believe that Pedro is going to survive somehow? Do you think he actually did sacrifice his very own life, and that's going to be the end of that character? What did you think of Luffy going up against Katakuri and using some of those Red Hawk abilities? And what sort of battles do you hope to see? And what do you think these guys are going to do? How are they going to escape from the island? Make sure to tell me all your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things One Piece related. Remember, I also review a lot of other anime and manga, so make sure to check out my YouTube channel. And of course, if you like this video, share it with all of your friends, and give it a thumbs up too. It's really easy to do. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby.